100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy. And from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/.
The countdown is on as the Raiders' regular season will open up on the road in New England as they take on the Patriots for a morning game on Sunday, September the 7th. Then the Raiders will return back to Las Vegas for their home opener as they host the Los Angeles Chargers for a primetime Monday night matchup at Allegiant Stadium on the 15th. All Raiders games can be heard The New York Yankees are in LA to take on the Rodgers Saturday at 4 on ESPN Radio 1100 AM and 100.1 FM, and Sunday at 4 on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by the Southern Nevada Chevrolet dealers.
Do you need new tires on your vehicle? Dollar Loan Center has you covered. Potholes, nails, curves, or just wear and tear. There's a ton of reasons for needing new tires, and a new set isn't cheap. But Don'tBeBroke.com can help. At Dollar Loan Center, a signature loan up to $5,000 is easy. You don't need a checking account or collateral, and we fund quick to get you back on the road. And unlike tire shops, we give new customers their first week's interest free. Stop by one of our 60 locations. Apply over the phone with a real person or online at Don'tBeBroke.com from the comfort of your smartphone. Dollar Loan Center has you covered.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam & Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way. Because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam & Ash, 702-303-0333. Sam & Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Zip Zap Auto has expanded into one of the largest independent auto repair shops in the Valley. With 23 bays, over 12,000 square feet, Zip Zap is your one-stop shop, offering 24-hour smog test, oil changes, detailing, bodywork, engine, and transmission rebuilding. And Zip Zap provides free towing and diagnostics with qualifying repairs. No appointment necessary, 24-hour service. Zip Zap Auto at Cheyenne and North Durango Drive, and online at zipzapauto.com.
There are 6 things that must be exactly perfect for your air conditioner to use less energy and last longer. If even one isn't perfect, your system works harder and wears out quicker. For just $129, Gettle will give your system a rejuvenation. We'll test and adjust all 6 things and clean the outdoor coils the right way, not the easy way. Those coils get hot, so that plaque is baked on. A garden hose just won't do it. No one knows air conditioners like Gettle. GOETTL will keep you cool, but it's hard to spell.
Hey Vegas, at For the Truck, we always offer our first responders and military a 10% discount. Are you ready to take your truck to the next level? For the Truck is giving everyone 10% off all Line-X spray and bed liners. And remember, gift cards are available at For the Truck.
All right, let's talk about whatever we're going to talk about, which we don't know what we're going to talk about. I just talked to Natalie. So let me get my microphones on. We got some people in the chat. We ready to roll? Man, we better be ready to roll. We are live. Can you hear me in our chat? That's the first thing I do every day is I ask people, can you hear me? Can you hear? If they say no, I go, oh my God, what did we do wrong? How are we doing, everybody? All good from Big D. That's all I need, man, is Big D telling me I'm good. Put a couple of topics in the in the stream, and we will roll.
JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes him off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 20 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, as we open up today, it feels like it's the middle of the week, but it's not. I hope everybody remembered the fallen soldiers, the men and women who gave their lives on Memorial Day. We had off yesterday, and don't take that for granted. And I hope you had a good long holiday if you were able to take advantage of that. If you were, and you remembered members of your family, if you're a military family and you went to a grave site with flowers and you remembered, I hope you did that. And I hope you had a good day yesterday. If you had to work yesterday, a lot of people here in Vegas work. Bobby's raising his hand. Bobby, don't get off. If there's games on like the Aviators or, I don't want to rub it in, Bobby, the Golden Knights should be playing right now. They should be playing right now, but we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. And I tell you that Mr. Foley, he loads up that team, man. He loads up our Golden Knights every year. And Mark Davis and Tom Brady and John Spytek loaded up the Raider Nation. So we're ready to roll. You can watch us now on our improved YouTube channel. Man, it's improved. I can't believe it. The buttons work. My Wi-Fi's work, knock wood on my head. You can watch the show live, and you can see me when I lose it or I try to pull it back in. You can get into the chat and help. Yeah, we ask for help. There are days like today when I look at Bobby, I go, what do you want to do? And he goes, just do what you do. And I'll just rant for about 20 minutes. And then after my 20-minute rant, hopefully there'll be someone on the phone. But we have a guest, Paul Gutierrez, will join us in a few moments, in about 3 or 4 minutes. He's now in-house with the Raiders. So he's got a new concept of how he's writing. He's a great writer, man. He's a great insider. He's on TV now. So Paul Gutierrez will join us coming up. So you don't want to miss that. And then Chris Myers from formerly the NFL on Fox. He's still with the NFL on Fox. Chris Myers anchored the Indy 500. He never did that before. He just anchored the Indy 500. Can't wait to talk to Chris. And then the big thing in my life, there is nothing more important. I mean, I apologize, Raiders. I know Raider Nation, the Raiders are lifting weights. They have organized workouts. That's really important to me, but not as important as my Knicks tonight. My Knicks are alive, man. Did you see my Knicks the other night? They ripped away a victory from the jaws of defeat. And I got a chance to watch my Knicks tonight, and I'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio, as I always am Monday and Tuesdays, 7 to 10 Pacific. Very quickly, housekeeping item. Yesterday was my 29-year anniversary of being on the radio. I know I've been getting a little over the top with these anniversaries, 30 years of winning the smack off and all that. Well, I like to remind people what I've been doing and what I do for my partners and what you do for me. So yesterday, I broke a record that will never be broken in radio history. Never be close. No one can ever get near it. I've done 29 Memorial Days in a row. Now, Colin Cowherd, Jim Rome, a lot of people don't want to work on Memorial Day. So it's a record that will be safe for me forever. No one will break that record. So I feel pretty proud about that. And I had a great day in the pool, backyard brick. I had a couple of Modelo's early in the day, then I shut it down. And then I did my 29th Memorial Day in a row. And I'm only going to do one more. I'm going to stop at 30 because we like to stop in round numbers. And Snow Raider, we're trying to figure out if I started on 96 Memorial Day and I ended last night on Memorial Day, is that 29 years or is that 30? My calculator says 2025 minus 1996 is 29. But other mathematicians are saying, no, it's really 30, JT, if you count year one. So a little bit confused on that, but Memorial Day was cool. Had a good time. And I'm off to Chicago later in the week for Mike Ditka. He brought me in as the MC for Gridiron Greats about a decade ago. Gridiron Greats is a Hall of Fame that is not associated with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Mike Ditka put it together to take former players who didn't get the Hall of Fame acknowledgement, put them into his Hall of Fame because Coach Ditka understood that those players who no longer play need money. They have injuries. They have mental health issues. They have serious injuries where they need hospital help. And Mike Ditka put together the Gridiron Greats. Coach Ditka's health isn't great anymore, so Brian Urlacher took over. So I'll be emceeing the event Friday night. And Angela Bolitnikoff will be recognized for the Sylvia Mackey Award, which is an unbelievable award. And she'll be acknowledged for that. And I'll be with Fred Bolitnikoff Thursday and Friday in Chicago. Paul Gutierrez is kind enough to join us from Raiders.com. All the digital work he does, all the TV work and podcasting work. Paul, let's begin with this. As you figure out this platform, which is a big one, if you add up the Raiders' Facebook, Instagram, social media, YouTube channel, what have you learned in this new role as of now?
Yeah, thanks for having me, JT. I think I'm learning what I didn't know before, and it kind of takes me back to when Mark Davis actually took over as the Raiders owner in the wake of his father's passing, when he said, I don't know a lot, but I know what I don't know. So now I need to surround myself with people who do know. And I kind of feel like I'm in the inverse of that, where, wow, I didn't realize how vast the Raider network is, and just trying to find my place there and be something unique, be something different. And it's been fun thus far. I mean, we really launched it draft weekend. And we just continue to do and look for different types of stories. And, I'm writing a column at least once a week now, and just trying to find different stories to bring to the fans that they otherwise may have fallen through the cracks, or just breathe a different kind of life into it. So, and to complement the coverage that Levi Edwards brings already as well, and Eddie Pascal on the podcast side. So it's been, and as long as I keep having that work, we'll keep doing it. So it's been fun.
All right. We hope we got your phone line in a good spot there. Maybe just tilt your head a little bit while Bobby says it's good now. So that's good for you, because you like to write about unique topics, and you always had access in the locker room at ESPN and what you've done in the past, which was outstanding. Does this give you a new look at the access you'll have in the building, or to chase down other stories that you might be more interested in?
Yeah, I believe so, and it's been able to show itself in the past 2 weeks. Last week I did a column on Brock Bowers going back to college, right, and finishing off, and how literally the week after the Raiders season ended, he went back to school, and he was back in Georgia working on his degree, and then the day after he graduated and walked across the stage with his degree in business real estate, he was back in Las Vegas on a flight and working out in OTAs. So being now a part of the Raiders, a member of the Raiders, so to speak, I was able to get that access to him a little sooner than I would have otherwise. And for that, I'm very grateful for, and to be trusted with that. And it's the same thing with a story I'm working on right now with the number switch of Ashton Genty. And he, obviously there was a price to be paid with Daniel Carlson to get that number 2. But there's a story behind that as well. And it hasn't published yet. It'll publish later in the week. But basically it costs something. But more than Daniel Carlson is going to benefit from a monetary aspect, if you know what I mean. There's some charity involved as well. So those are the types of stories that, especially in the off season, are really, really worth telling. And those are the kinds of things I want to sink my teeth into. Paul
Gutierrez is our guest. So what I find interesting about Brock and hearing Pete Carroll after he just spoke at the podium a couple of days ago, if it's not broke, don't fix it. This guy had an incredible season, and he needs that many targets again, period. I'm not going to move on from that. But I know there could be less targets. If Genty gets 25 to 30 attempts, that means Jacoby Myers and Brock 100% will get less touches and targets in certain games. And now Chip Kelly comes in, and I thought the other offensive coordinators tried, but they didn't do well, and they're no longer here because the offense didn't flow fast enough. They didn't run the plays that worked in Henderson. They really seemed to struggle with the offense at times here. And now Brock and Ashton Genty will be out there together. What do you envision with these two on the field at the same time?
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, especially when they're both so young and so talented. And it all really, JT, it all comes down to that offensive line. What type of time is going to allow plays to develop? And we haven't even mentioned yet a new quarterback, the veteran, right, of Geno Smith, and the connection with Pete Carroll, and somewhat of a connection with Chip Kelly. But you just envision Chip Kelly this whole offseason like a mad scientist in the lab, trying to concoct different ways to get all of these things going. And now And something I've said before is, as we're watching OTAs as members of the media, we're only seeing what, one practice a week during OTAs, and we're seeing what they're going to allow us to see, what they want us to see. And last week, there was no doubt that the defense was way ahead of the offense. But again, don't hit the panic button, fans. That's the way it should be right now. When you have all that continuity on the defensive side of the ball, it should be ahead of an offense that's really in transition and remaking itself. So what I want to see and what I expect to see is a lot of play action. And the only way to get that play action going is to get the running game going. And when you have Ashton Genty, the best running back in the draft, the top 6 pick, that's what is supposed to be. So long answer to your short question, I expect to see a lot of play action with the Chip Kelly spin to it. Yeah,
Paul, the thing that fans have been stopping me and talking to me about, and what I like to interact with, is I like to keep it very simple when it comes to the math of an NFL game. It's about possession time. How long did you have the ball? How long did they have the ball? Now, if you only have it 26 or 27 minutes, you can win if you get 2 turnovers, right? And you have a 90-yard touchdown pass. That can skew everything. But the problem with the Raiders is sustaining drives. I think that completely changes with Brock Bowers, Geno Smith, and Ashton Genty. I didn't even get to Jacoby Myers. I don't even know what the plan is for Big Michael Mayer. You got Trey Tucker and Deontay, who's a monster, and then Besh looks like a guy who can move the chains. So to simplify this, isn't the goal of this team just to control the ball longer and have easier third down executions and plays?
If that's exactly what we say, and that's the great thing about having Pete Carroll as the head coach. Now, we realize he's not the offensive play caller. He's not the coordinator. But that's the kind of offense he had in Seattle. That's what we saw at USC. We saw explosive ball control. If that's really – I know those are 2 separate trains of thought, but that's really it, a ball control, explosive ball control kind of an offense. Now you throw Chip Kelly's mix in there, and that's what we're going to see. At least that's what the plan is here in late May. So when you kind of throw it all out there and it looks like a big pot of gumbo and you hope it tastes as good and it looks as good and it smells good, well, then that's what's going to happen. And then again, if you're only getting, X amount of snaps or plays per game, then it depends upon, well, what did you do with those snaps? And like you mentioned, a 90-yard bomb, great, perfect, because that's in the Raiders' DNA too.
Paul Gutierrez, as we wrap it up. So, Paul, what do you think about the executive shift with Tom Brady, Mark Davis, when you talk to Mark about who John Spytek is bringing in underneath him? It's a work in progress for me. I haven't met most of these gentlemen yet. I look forward to it. They're in the building. We're both in the building. Is there a story to chase here on the hierarchy of the football side with John Spytek and underneath some of the executives he brought in? They got a lot of experience from Philadelphia along with Denver.
Yeah, you looking at my notes, JT?
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of stories that I'm looking at. This whole offseason. Yeah, because that's what the fans are invested in. That's what they're interested in. Who is, for the first time in a long time, and this is not a shot at anybody recent at all. It feels different. It feels like there's adults kind of making some decisions here, football-wise, and bringing it forward into the 21st century. And there's that's not shots at anybody, but it just feels different. And when you have so many, not necessarily chefs in the kitchen, but different menus, so to speak, to pick from, then you're looking forward here and you're saying, okay, this is what Mark Davis has been searching for ever since he took over back in 2011. And I go back to what I mentioned at the very top when he said in that initial press conference, I don't know a lot, but I know what I don't know, and I need to surround myself with people who do know how to do it. That's what this feels like after a long search. And then, again, not a shot at anybody that's been there. They've had some success in the past couple of years, couple playoff runs. But this just feels different, JT. And again, it's late May. I'm not speaking as a company man by any stretch. I'm just saying this just feels a little bit different.
Last one I wanted to end with you on. Antonio Pierce was really good to me, interviewing him his entire time here. And he was on a podcast with Ryan Clark, and he explained what happened when Josh McDaniels got fired in the vacuum and how quickly he took over, and really gave a lot of details about what he saw in the miscommunication from Josh McDaniels and what he did to take over. I thought it was an interesting deep dive. It's not something I want to do a lot here on the show, because I know when a coaching staff and a regime leaves, you wish them well and you completely welcome and focus on the new people trying to win here. But I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but we haven't heard much from Antonio Pierce, and that was a deep dive about Josh McDaniels and how he lost his job and Antonio Pierce took it over.
I haven't heard it yet, but I remember at the time writing and in talking with Mark Davis was that I wrote a story at ESPN at the time about how it all just kind of came down, because people forget when Antonio Pierce was promoted, he leapfrogged a bunch of people because he was, and I don't say this lightly, he was quote unquote just a position coach. He was the linebackers coach who leapfrogged a couple of coordinators. And a lot of that was because, as Mark Davis told me at the time, he didn't know a lot about him or his football background, but he really won him over in the interview process, where he just understood what it meant to be a Raider. And as Mark Davis told me at the time, you know how important that is to me. So he was the right man at the right time for that. A year and a half later, it didn't work out. But at that point in time, you saw what happened at the end of that season, and the players reacted to him. So he was the polar opposite of what the McDaniel-Ziegler regime was at that time too. So you're automatically going to get that adrenaline rush, that knee-jerk reaction. So yeah, I'm going to have to dig in and listen to that as well. But I just remember living it in real time. It made all the sense in the world, because this guy had LA Raider blood pumping through his veins, having grown up in the shadow of the LA Coliseum when the Raiders called LA home.
Yep. No Costa Mesa, no Napa. It's Paul G in Vegas. We're going to have a couple of 112s and 115s, but you're used to that right now from your UNLV days. So the summer's looking good. It's just going to be a little bit warmer. I have a feeling it's going to even be hotter than we expected. You get that vibe?
I get that, and I also I hear your commercial coming up. We're going to be poolside in your backyard with a couple of Modelos.
You got it. Take care, my friend. Thanks for a few moments.
All right, we'll talk to you.
All right, it's Paul Gutierrez, who's now with the Raiders. And you hear what he said there. Not me. He said it. Not a company guy. A guy's going to write what he sees. I speak what I see. There's just some fans that get so upset with me that I don't quit my job, and then become some podcaster because I said something mean about the owner. Sorry. Sorry, it's not going to happen. I'm pro Raiders. This is a pro Raider radio show. But I got the big asterisk, Bobby. I go on. I'm the only guy who goes on after the game. The only one in all of Raider Nation who's live after the game. And if you listened to me last year, while we were losing 10 in a row, and the cleaning crew was coming in, cleaning the stadium, and I was doing 90 minutes. If you don't think I was critical, then please unfollow me, and you don't get what I do. I'll be painfully obvious when this team doesn't win, if they don't. And then I'll be really happy because I'm a season ticket holder when they win. Pretty simple. There's all different types of, it's like pizza, Bobby. I'm a Grimaldi's guy. All different types of pizza. You can have a margarita pizza. You can have the Brooklyn Bridge at Grimaldi's. You can have a Sicilian squared slice. There's all types of Raider content. What you're going to get from me is a couple things. The best insiders in the history of the Raiders join me. And it's a reason I invite certain people. The ones that we believe add the most to the show. And we'll talk to more Raiders and alumni than any show in the history of the Raiders. It's not perfect. It's not meant to be perfect. And you'll see me go through up and down, ebb and flows, because I'm very emotional. I'm very emotional tonight for my Knicks. I get very emotional when I don't have 9 people on hold. I think I got one of the biggest shows in America. I'm like, what am I doing here? A podcast? Oh, I did a podcast today with Looney. We did an hour, and a lot of people were in there, so thank you for that. Phones are open. We're open for business. I'm on today and tomorrow, then I'm off with Coach Ditka. I was explaining what Coach Ditka does, and Angela Bolitnikoff is going to be honored for that. Vernon Davis, Leonard Marshall, the legendary New York Giants, Olin Kreutz. There's a lot of good people in this Gridiron Greats Hall of Fame. Phil Villapiano got in. Jim Plunkett got in. People that aren't in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Mike Ditka brought together. So I'm very honored to be a part of that. And then we'll come back from that and I'll MC the Southern Nevada Sports Hall of Fame. And we have a guest on every Wednesday for that. Every Wednesday we put one of the Hall of Famers on. Next hour, Max Starks will join us, former Pittsburgh Steeler, on what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. I believe there is a big story developing on Aaron Rodgers. And it has to do with Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick pretty much just threw him under the bus from their relationship that they had. And she said, quote, to Sage Steele, formerly of ESPN, quote, this is Danica Patrick talking about when she was boyfriend, girlfriend, when they were a couple with Aaron Rodgers. Listen to this quote. The nature of the relationship was emotionally abusive. So that wore me down to nothing, Patrick said. Everything was torn to bits. He leaves a trail of blood. I don't think I'm saying too much earth-shattering stuff. That's been enough already out there. wait a second. This is a iconic football player still playing football. And you, Danica Patrick, is a member of the media. Fact, she's a member of the media. And she called out Aaron Rodgers and said, he leaves a trail of blood. Wow. You can't say that. You can't. Now, if you break up and he put his hands on you and you were injured, absolutely. I always side with the woman. Always. Years after he broke up with you, the week of the Indianapolis 500, you're telling the world that he leaves a trail of blood? I think that is out of bounds. Just like I thought Ryan Clark's comment on RG3's wife, who happens to be white, was out of bounds, and he walked it back. Now, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to file a defamation lawsuit against his former girlfriend. But it's a pretty big story. And the other part of the story, because we try to do a lot of football here in this block, is that Aaron Rodgers is holding the city of Pittsburgh hostage. Imagine you, Raider Nation, I'm talking directly to you. If the Raiders were in the market to get a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, anyone you want, and the Raiders really needed a quarterback. Let's assume they did not have Geno and you weren't comfortable with Aiden O'Connell just yet. And a guy like Aaron Rodgers told you in the Raider Nation he'll get back to you. You would lose your bleeping mind. You would go nuts. I'd have 9 phone lines. I could do this show blindfolded. Aaron Rodgers is telling the city of Pittsburgh he'll get back to him because he doesn't want to play there, because he just played for the Jets. And Pittsburgh, even though they're better than the Jets, Pittsburgh's roster is not much better than the Jets. I don't think Pittsburgh's roster is much better than the Raiders now with Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. And Aaron Rodgers actually wants to play. Guess where he wants to play? He wants to play in Minnesota. And he has a good idea why. Minnesota has a Super Bowl caliber roster. The only teams left in the NFL that have a Super Bowl roster today. Ooh, this could get me in trouble. Let me think. Let me pause. This is off the top of my head. And Bobby, that's what happens when you do a show off the top of your head. So these are the teams today. If this was on Fox Sports 1, they'd make a list. It'd be a list because everyone at Fox Sports 1 can't go to work every day without having a list that they debate ad nauseum. Here are the only teams in football that currently have a Super Bowl roster. That means their roster you could throw out on the field in July, and that's a Super Bowl roster. They might not win because only one team wins. Those teams would include the Bills, the Baltimore Ravens. No, I'm not including the Houston Texans. And they're going to make the playoffs blindfolded. Kansas City has a Super Bowl roster. The Chargers, remember I didn't want to get in trouble here? The Chargers roster is gaining momentum. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl because of Baltimore, Buffalo, but I'm going to leave the Chargers out. The Eagles, Super Bowl roster. The Commanders, a 4-win team at this time last year. If you remember, they had 4 wins like the Raiders. They went to the NFC Championship game. They obviously have a Super Bowl roster. The Detroit Lions, yes, Detroit has a Super Bowl roster. No debate. Minnesota, yeah, Minnesota's got a Super Bowl roster, and so does Green Bay. So does Green Bay. Green Bay's got a Super Bowl roster. They got enough to get to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. I wouldn't pick them to win the Super Bowl, but I'd include that roster. And then the last team would be Tampa, where John Spytek used to work and help build that great roster. But I don't like where Tampa is now. I think they had a window. I don't think the window is expanding. I think it's getting smaller. So I didn't include Pittsburgh, and I think that's why Aaron Rodgers is holding up. I mentioned, 6 teams? 7 teams. Now, can the Raiders win the Super Bowl? Of course they can. When Jim Plunkett won the first ever wild card Super Bowl, ask a Raider fan that year if they thought that Jim Plunkett, heading into Super Bowl 15, that season, when Jim Plunkett did not start, if the Raiders would have went to the Super Bowl. Well, they had a great team, and they just needed Jim Plunkett to get them over the top. Right, on that Super Bowl. And then we all know Super Bowl 18 was one of the greatest rosters ever. Widely considered today a Mount Rushmore. When we did the all-time greatest Raider teams, who came in at number 1? The Super Bowl 18 roster with Mike Haynes. That was Plunkett. We put that slightly ahead of Super Bowl 11 with the Snake, Shell and Upshaw, Biletnikoff and Branch. I mean, that was a good team. And we were diving into that topic pretty heavy. So Aaron Rodgers, I wanted to get here into the monologue as we open it up. And then Paul Gutierrez gave us a good topic. Remember, we look for help, summertime radio coming up, about how the Raiders now can sustain drives. So that's my topic of the day, and it's a good one. It's a really good one. Here it is. It's 3rd and 5. I'm very specific. 3rd and 5. Who do you run the play to? 702-365-9200. You better think. I'm giving you specifics. I'm not even telling you where the ball is. It could be on our own 30. It could be on their 20. It's 3rd and 5. No quarterback sneak. No tush push. We got to get a first down. We have to. The game is on the line. Who you going to? 702-365-9200. Oh, my God. The choices that you have are amazing. But I only need one. I might run the ball. Oh, I said it. I can't believe I said it. That ball of knives, that muscle man, Aston Genty, I might pitch it outside to him and let Big Mike crack down on someone, and these wide receivers like Besh take out a linebacker. Ooh, I might go to Besh. I might not go to Jacoby. I might go to Besh. Who are you going to on 3rd and 5? If you have to, I want to hear it right now. 702-365-9200. The monologue brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue. 5 to 7, midnight to 2. That is the best happy hour in town because you get happy hour prices twice. And the food and the beverage and the gaming and the award-winning staff here. A lot of my buddies work at PTs behind the bars or they're general managers, and they are my longest-running partner here. That's why we lead with them in every show. PTs fuels the monologue. 702-365-9200, 3rd and 5. You're sitting next to Chip Kelly. What do you say to Chip if he says, hey, what do you want to run? That's fun summertime radio. I mean, what do you want me to do? Want me to do an Indy 500 recap? Well, we're going to do that. Chris Myers joins us next hour. Max Starks. We had Paul Gutierrez. I'm open to the top of the hour. Knicks are playing tonight. My Knicks are playing. Are there any NBA fans out there? Busy day today. Good to be back off Memorial Day and the national holiday. Back in studio.
It's the morning tailgate.
It's impossible to get freaking phone lines, even if you give people pizza and a beer and a freaking easy topic. Sports radio in 2025.
What's your name?
There they go. Bobby's screening. Yeah, Bobby tells people, do not call if you're on speakerphone. You want to piss off Bobby? You call in on a speakerphone, man. You really piss off Bobby if you call on a speakerphone. Hope anybody in the chat served the country. Anybody in the chat served the country? Everybody, please pound the like button. I don't know how many people are in here in this new format. It doesn't tell me. It says 429, but that doesn't. I think why the number's so big is we're live on Twitter now. So if anybody is on Twitter, if you want to check that for me, if you go to JT the Brick on Twitter, you will see that we are live on the radio. And it's kind of cool. If you see right here, as I'm talking, it shows up on X, which is kind of cool. Adam, you're a vet. Thank you for your service. Who else do we got here? Put in the box if you're a vet. I'm a veteran of the streets. Kenny, that's Michael Daniels. Yes. 82nd Airplane. Does that say gang? I think. Ooh, here's Tim with a good one. I'm going to read that one on the air. I kind of like what you're saying there, Tim Foreman. I like that. I agree with that.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time. We've had enough.
Big D, I'm on season 2 of the 100-foot wave. They're doing a lot in Maui at Jaws, the great pipeline at Jaws. Man, I knew those waves were big at Jaws, not as big as Nazaré in Portugal, but man, that's pretty big. Mikey, a Korean War vet. Your dad was, thank you. Bobby, I'll give you some Raisin Canes.
already got 2 days for food, so get a bug on delivered. But you can't get a chicken parmesan delivery. A cabana? That's a no. But a banana? That's a yes. A nice tan? Sorry, nope. Not stand. Happily yes.
And you have some you got the OKC Minnesota stuff. Okay. Good to talk to Paul Gutierrez. Nice to have him on. Appreciate that. M85, U.S. Army Personnel Specialist. Wow, that's really cool. Thank you for your service. I'm trying to bring up my YouTube channel and get the live feed from that. There it is. Got it. There it is. Beautiful. Okay. Let's say hit the like button. Oh, Bobby, I didn't see any live music this weekend. Did you watch anything on YouTube? Or it's not new. The Grateful Dead channel. I clicked on a link to a Dead show in Buffalo. It said this is from the YouTube channel. I clicked it on and I threw it up on my TV, and man, it was damn good. So the Dead have their own YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. And there's a few other people out there that put up old clips and stuff. But yeah.
The reviews look outstanding for Kenny Chesney. It's not my cup of tea.
About half the first set of that.
It was good? Not bad?
Not bad.
Good. And I think the tickets are more reasonable than a $500 U2 show or a $600 Fish show or a $450 Dead and Company show.
That I have no idea about. Okay, this is Pete Carroll.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Visit titosvodka.com.
Yeah, these guys are great competitors. That's really what we went in to find. And I think the whole process that we started with our scouts, and even though we picked them up midstream, we emphasized that from the beginning, that we want guys that really want to battle. And to the man, that's what we were able to find. And we're going to stick to that as best we can, because we know that that's the makeup of the club that we want, and you got to do it one guy at a time. And so that's what we're shooting for.
That's Pete Carroll, JT, back with you, coming off Memorial Day and the long holiday. If you were able to reflect on Memorial Day and the servicemen and women that we lost, I hope you were able to do that. There's a lot of people that are military members live on our YouTube chat right now. You can get into the chat and see all the vets that are there, overwhelmed by all the military there. JT the Brick YT on YouTube is where we have our channel there. The secret, there was never a secret on Pete Carroll, but it's out if you're not aware of what he likes to do. And what he likes to do is compete. And everybody does. Why wouldn't every head coach want to compete? They all want to compete. They don't do it as well as Pete Carroll. That's really the big story that's changed the Raiders. Antonio Pierce, Josh McDaniels. Do you know how many more practices Josh McDaniels was a part of than all of these other coaches? Because the Patriots, in his run of 6 Super Bowls, went to the playoffs and Super Bowl every year. So they had weeks of playoff practice where other coaches were either getting fired, not practicing, or eliminated. So add in those hundreds of extra practices or film studies. Well, that's what Pete Carroll has. Pete Carroll has all these years of winning at USC and all the years of winning in Seattle. When he throws in this competition in week 13 or 14, got to remember the team he coached in Seattle went to the playoffs almost every year. So he knew when to throttle back. He knew when to step on the gas. He knew when to let him play basketball. He knew when to give him a day off. And he knew the days where he was in someone's ear going, this guy's gaining on you. You better practice harder. That's what we're seeing now. We're just seeing Pete oversee these practices that are going to be different than the other coaches are here. Different than Flores and Madden, right? Flores and Madden kind of coached together. Flores was under Madden. Coach Flores took over from John Madden, had his own style. Art Shell, who played for both Madden and Flores, had his own style as a coach. John Gruden, his dad was a coach at Notre Dame and Indiana. And then John Gruden went to Tennessee as a grad assistant. He learned his style. The Pete Carroll style, he's learning every day and he's teaching, and it's really good. So I asked, what do you do on 3rd and 5? Tim Foreman comes into the chat and says, 3rd and 5 with Gino. Fake handoff to Genty. Bowers block and release, 5-yard toss, first down Raiders. He got it. That's the play I call. That's what I call. I do play action to Genty. Gino looks left, steps up, throws a little 5-yarder to Brock, first down. That's what I would do. My other choice would be a slant to Jacoby Myers, a 3-yard slant, because everyone's freaking out that Brock's out there, and Gino does play action to Genty, little fake toss, and Jacoby, the most reliable guy, didn't drop a ball. He does just a little 3-yard slant, catches it, goes down, first down. That's how easy this could be. Yeah. Now, it's going to be hard. The other team gets paid to stop you. But I'm telling you, man, the Raiders are going to be able to move the ball and hopefully be more explosive, but they got to be accurate on 3rd down. Kelvin in San Francisco starts off our week. What's happening, Kelvin?
Hey, JT, thanks for the call. Well, the guy in the chat took my play. Absolutely. I'd line up Mayers on the left, Brock Bowers on the right, play action with Genty off the left. I'd have our QB rolling out to the right, give him the option to either run or throw or Bowers. I know Genty's the new shiny toy, but, man, I still think the offense needs to go through Bowers. In terms of count of targets, I still think Bowers is our number one guy. I think he still needs more targets overall than Genty.
I don't think so. I don't see how a tight end, even super elite, like young Brock, could get more targets than a featured running back.
But this is a tight end we've never really seen. I mean, if you go back and watch the tape of him at Georgia,
right?
They had him in the backfield getting handoff.
Right. Yeah.
There's a specific game you can actually go back on YouTube on when everyone was watching Brock Bowers highlights when we drafted him, and Georgia was down in a game, and the announcer at Georgia was screaming. I think it was their hometown guy calling the game, screaming to get the ball into Bowers' hands, and they did. They get in backfield slants. I mean, he's our offense. He's potential Hall of Famer if he stays healthy.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I appreciate that. I just come from the old school where a wide receiver is not going to get more targets than Barry Sanders or Earl Campbell or Marcus Allen, but you never know. I don't know how much they're going to use Genty in year one. I would assume a lot. I think Raheem Mostert is critical here because that guy needs touches. He's a good player. He's a really good player. And you look at the depth of that running back room. What are you going to do with Dylan Lobby? How's Dylan Lobby going to get any touches? Really? Who? He will if he makes the team. But he made the team last year and didn't sniff the ball. So what are you going to do? You're going to give him more. How are you going to get him the ball? Well, it's Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's going to have these trickeration moves and these plays where everybody who comes in. I think Jack Besh is the guy I want to see the most in the preseason. That's a guy that I want to see line up in motion. I want to see him as a slant guy. We were all here for Hunter Renfro's brilliant season, and Darren Waller's too, but Renfro in his 100-plus reception season, man, he did everything. They lined him up everywhere. They lined him up wide, in the slot, in motion. I want to see them do that with Besh. I think Besh could be really good at that. Murph's in Buffalo, New York, where Murph, I hope it's starting to warm up. I got a lot of my buddies. I'm in a Buffalo chat every day. Is it starting to get warmer?
Yeah, we actually hit 70 today, buddy.
Nice.
How nice is that? I'm about to get a little bike ride in, feel the sun on my face.
Mm-hmm.
With Brock, you got to go Brock Bowers. I mean, all day we got Brock Bowers, baby. Let's go. That's an easy question for me.
Well, what happens if they double him? What happens if they put a linebacker in his face? Something I've been begging for us to do with Kelsey. We never do it. We never do it. We never touch Kelsey. We never put our hands on him. I think other teams are going to put their hands on Brock because they don't put their hands on Kelsey, and he's going to the Hall of Fame.
I like it. Well, what the heck did we draft Michael Mayer for last year? Maybe this guy steps up this year. They're saying, last year he had his issues. Everything, seems to be fine this year. So, I mean, that guy's a huge target, too. Don't tell me he can't get a nice little 5-yard slant as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think.
Okay,
yep.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'm going to switch over to baseball again, buddy. And my Mets last week, you mentioned how Soto
made a bad move. Now, I can't argue with you. The Yankees, I mean, yeah, they're in a league of their own, obviously, the New York Yankees. But I think Soto wanted to get out of Judge's shadow. He wants to be.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He just wanted to get paid. You got an owner who paid him $750 million. No one would want to get out of Judge's. I mean, if the Yankees offered Soto $700 million to stay, he would have stayed. He went to the Mets because.
75.
Yeah, but look, I mean, the Mets overpaid for Soto. He looks to be a head case. He doesn't look to be having any fun. He's not happy. And if you're underpaid in sports, you have the right to have bad body language and be upset if you're underpaid. But what the hell is he all upset about, man, with the money he's making? He's like making $1 million a game or something. More than that. Why is he so upset and just frowning all the time, not smiling, not doing the Soto shuffle? None of it.
It's gonna come around, buddy.
All right.
I'll tell you, when you leave players on base and you're on like a 4 for 36 skid with runners in scoring position, you're not gonna be a happy camper. And the guy's a competitor. He's gonna come around. I'm telling you. And I'll say this, JT, it's nice. I know, like you did say, the Mets, they've been irrelevant for forever, and every so often we get a good team in there. But it's so nice to have a owner that's willing to spend the do-re-mi. You know what I mean?
Got to run, my friend. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, we have an owner out here in Mark Davis who will spend whatever it takes to win. A lot of owners don't. The NFL is pretty easy. You got a cap. You can spend this much. You have to spend a certain amount of money. You have to. With the cap, and Mark is very generous, but no one's more generous than Steve Cohen, the new owner of the Mets. I mean, forget about it. That guy is just burning through cash. And Soto isn't happy. Every time I watch Ohtani, people think I'm hard on Ohtani. I'm not. I just remind you that Judge is better. Call me, what are you going to lock me up for that? Like you can put me in Twitter jail? He's 100 points higher in the batting average. As I said earlier today on the podcast, Ted Williams 1 year batted .406. He lost the MVP to Joe DiMaggio, who had a 56-game hitting streak. Let that sink in for a second. Judge is on top of Ohtani by 103 points. Bobby, you study the history of the game. You're a baseball fan. There was never a time where Rod Carew was ahead of George Brett by 100 points. There wasn't a point where Tony Gwynn was ahead of Chipper Jones by 103 points. I mean, Judge is 103 points ahead of Ohtani. When do you expect this thing to kind of narrow a bit? Because May's over. We're heading into June, and it's 100-point difference.
Well, it's like you said yourself last week, when Ohtani picks up a ball and gets on the mound, then we can talk.
Yeah, when Ohtani throws one pitch, he's better than Judge. Until that, he's not. He's not. It's just a fact. It's not fiction. 702-365-9200. So next hour, we're packed. We have Chris Myers, who anchored the broadcast for the Indy 500, which is a big deal. And then we're going to have Max Starks. I reached out to Max, former Pro Bowler. I wanted to ask him about Aaron Rodgers holding the city of Pittsburgh hostage. I think what Pittsburgh might want to do is find a way. Kirk Cousins makes, oh my God, the amount of money Kirk Cousins makes. But he's a great teammate. Oh my God. Name a better teammate in the last 10 years. You know who would be on that list? Derek Carr. Derek Carr was a great teammate in Oakland and Vegas. Great. Kirk Cousins is a lot better teammate than Aaron Rodgers. Now, Rodgers is better than Kirk Cousins, but maybe Pittsburgh just tells Aaron Rodgers to go kick rocks, and they just go for Kirk Cousins, pay the price, absorb that contract, and just get him into – don't you think Kirk Cousins would be good with the Steelers? I do. Guy's a pretty good player. Came in here and didn't play well and beat us last year. He's a good player. He wins games. He's not old. Remember, Tom Brady wasn't old, and he was in his 40s. Kirk Cousins can play. And a lot of people checking in on what do you do with 3rd and 5? It's been heavy Brock. As you know, it's been heavy Brock along the way, because Brock seems to be one of the great weapons that the Raiders have in quite a long time. And no doubt about it. If you look at the history of the Raiders and all the great weapons that the Raiders had, there's been some great tight ends who can really get open on 3rd down. And how about Fred Biletnikoff, who I'm going to be with this week in Chicago? Who was ever better? Who was ever better than Fred Biletnikoff on 3rd down? I'm talking toe tapping, catching the ball, not dropping it. Pretty damn good. There's been some great Raiders over the years. Raymond Chester. By the way, Bobby, remind me to reach out to Raymond. He has a new book out, and he was in London promoting it. We're Crusader Raiders, so I want to get Raymond on and hear about this and get a signed copy of his book. I love Raymond Chester. We're going to keep the chat and the YouTube going for another 20 minutes. JT the Brick YT on YouTube. And then we have a big hour coming up as we continue. Back in studio, we are brought to you by the Black Hole. Okay. All righty. Yeah, I got to go to my feed to see how many people we have in the chat, which is a nice number today. Thanks to everybody here. Appreciate that. Hit the like button. I just hit the like button. Wow. I even hit the like button. Whoa. Anybody see Mission Impossible yet? Anybody go see the Tom Cruise movie? Anybody thinking of going this week or early next week? Who? Joe? Yeah, that Canes Reed. Yep. You got some Aviators this week, Bobby?
Yep, I got back-to-back double Wednesday and Thursday. They have the what the hell is it? Oklahoma City Dodgers.
Okay.
When you need legal advice, you need the brothers. You need the DeCastroverti law firm. This is JT. They're my attorneys, and they should be yours too. Personal injuries and accidents. Reach out to the DeCastroverti.
All right.
Let their family fight for yours.
From BetMoneyHoney.com. Would you like to become an educated sports fan that also knows how to place a bet? How about
Even ESPN is reaching for topics. They're doing the question and answer radio. Which running back with 100 touches first this year? Saquon Barkley? Yeah, Saquon Barkley's the answer. Or Derrick Henry. Well, how about Ashton Genty?
Because everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. Call 800 or Rocket, or visit rocket.com to get a head start on your starter home.
All right. Did anybody see? I asked, did anybody see the Mission Impossible?
Hello, this is Aaron Taylor, the real estate guy. Are you serious about buying or selling real estate? Then you need a team that's just as serious as you. The real estate guy, we deliver what others promise. Clear communication, professional service, and top results that you can count on. That's right, Dad. Jacob Taylor here, the real estate guy. Whether you're buying your dream home or selling your biggest asset, do not settle for less. Work with the brand that leads with experience, trust, and proven success. With over 8,000 homes sold and 30 years in the business, we know what we're doing.
Max Crosby coming back.
LV.com or call 702-310-6683. That's 702-310-MOVE. EXP Realty license number 3886. Call details.
talk to Aaron Taylor?
The real estate guy. Great cities are built on
I got a listener who said he used to listen to me in jail when he was in jail. And then he got out on parole. And I said, I used to get jail mail and read letters for a segment back in the day. Very interesting that back in the day, those who were incarcerated would listen at night and actually send mail.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I got a few of them.
Yeah.
Then, of course, there was the old Charger Dodger Eric with no postage. It would take 3 months to arrive.
Oh, Pacers Knicks tonight. Pacers -2.5. I'm amazed. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, right? But they're betting 2.5. Can the Knicks lose and cover? I don't give a crap. I don't want them to. Yeah, right.
Trubisky, they're saying that the Pacers are going to win by 3.
Right.
All right, Max Crosby.
Brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Yeah, they've been awesome. Honestly, just attention to detail. I think with rookies, you don't want rookies coming in thinking they got all the answers. You come in, you stay humble, be quiet, and just get to work. And I could say that truly about all those guys. Like they're not in there, acting an ass or doing anything out of pocket. They're just coming in and showing up and working and putting their body on the line and flying around and individual and doing everything they're asked. So that's all you can ask for. Truly, like those guys have been really, really awesome additions, and they have a ton of talent. I think they're going to help our team win. So that's all that matters at the end of the day. And I think those guys are coming in with the right attitude, and they're off to a great start.
That's Mad Max Crosby. On the rookies coming in, Max is like a seasoned veteran. Still a young player. Hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. We are back. Vince Sapienza in for me Thursday. Vinny Bonsignor Friday, as I'm doing some charity work with Mike Ditka in Chicago. Love going to Chicago this time of year. Love it. Just unbelievable to get the weather there, go there. Gridiron great. So I'll be posting a lot of cool content, hopefully coming up from there as we continue. I put in the chat here on our YouTube channel, did anybody see Mission Impossible yet? The movie, and Big D said no spoilers. Well, I didn't see the movie. I'm assuming Tom Cruise saved the world from a nuclear bomb or something like that, or a torpedo bomb, and the world is safe. Yeah. So I don't think there's not many spoilers when it comes to a movie with Tom Cruise. He's going to be the hero and get it done here. This week, we came off the Indy 500. I watched the last 50 laps. I did. Backyard Brick, I had it on. It was pretty cool. Chris Myers will join us next hour on that. I got the Knicks tonight. Here's what's interesting about gambling. The Knicks are a 2.5-point underdog tonight. It's Indiana minus 2.5. There's going to be a winner or a loser. I could care less what the spread is. I'm totally embedded in this game. So if the Knicks lose by 1, can you imagine betting the Knicks as a Knicks fan to lose? So if they lose by a bucket or 1 point, you win money. Yeah. I don't have that degenerate mind. And, oh, yeah, I'm calling you a degenerate to your face. If you're a Knicks fan and you're betting on the Knicks to lose but to cover, you're a bleeping degenerate. I don't care how good you are. None of you guys win 53% of the time to begin with. The great Steve Fezzik, who we've had on the show, did an unbelievable tweet today on how difficult it is to bet the NBA. It was great content. I'll send it out here so you can follow it in the retweet there. And he was talking about with the VIG, if you're betting minus 110, the Knicks minus 110, by the time, if you don't bet the injuries or the breaking news or the overnight line before it changes, no chance to win, like long term. You see what the problem now, and I'm really ranting here, the problem right now in sports gambling is there's no one in charge. No, because the program directors, a lot of them are just clueless because they've never been on the radio, number one, and they're not professional gamblers. And you expect those guys to tell radio hosts who are weekend board ops how to do content? You expect those people to come into a room and say, hey, I'm going to put on the whiteboard how you do radio and gambling radio and how you win. Oh, good luck with that. That's never changing anytime soon. The people who you should follow are A, the most entertaining, like Bill Krakenberger. The other people you should follow are the winners, like Steve Fezzik, who won a couple of super contests. Other than that, you can have a little dog, a chihuahua, hit balls off their nose down the steps into a bucket and pick a winner better than some of these charlatans who have never, ever told you what they bet on a game, won't tell you if they're betting $5, $50, or $5,000, and they're giving you all the information. So I don't do that. I just interview people that are smart. And the issue with the Knicks game tonight, the Knicks need to win. I don't care if they win by 30, which they never do, 10, which they never do. If they win by 1, I'm happy. But can you believe there are degenerate gamblers out there who literally will bet a playoff game down to the point? Like they know what the ref's going to do late? Like they have an idea of the timeouts and who's going to foul out or not? No, they're guessing. But some of the best handicappers in the world and sharp bettors, they have algorithms. They know what they're doing better than I would or you. But could you imagine being a Knicks fan tonight, going on your app and saying Knicks minus 2.5, a plus 2.5, excuse me. I'm going to bet the Pacers. I'm a Knicks fan. Wow. You're a degenerate. If you're a fan, a diehard I'm talking about, not a sports fan. We're all sports fans. If you're a diehard fan of the Dodgers and bet against them in the World Series or the Yankees, I believe that those people generally, not all of them, don't take this out of context, in general are bleeping degenerates. You really have to have action that bad where you're going to bet against your team? If I had any Knicks fan in my backyard tonight and they were betting against the Knicks, I'd throw them right out. I'd go, get out of here. I'll get your Uber. I'm going to pay for your Uber. Get out of my house. Yeah. And people do that because they think they're smarter than Scott Foster, the ref. They think they're smarter than Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton. You think you have more information than Tyrese Halliburton on who's going to win the game? You don't, but we are in the wild, wild west of gambling. As I always say, bet with your wallet, not with your head. You can only bet the amount of money you have on your app. And the problem is that when people win, they don't take the money out, Bobby.
Of course.
Like when I win in certain things in life, I take the money out.
Of course.
But man, these gamblers here in Vegas, they laugh when they lose and they buy another bottle, a $1,200 bottle of alcohol that cost the casino less than $6.
Yeah.
Man, loyalty is one thing. A buck is another. It's hard to win, man. Steve Fezzik, I'll retweet what he put out. It was really good. And you'll get a chance to see how hard it is to gamble on the NBA. Thanks to the bricklayers, everybody on the YouTube channel. Chris Myers coming up. He anchored the Indy 500.
The New York Yankees are in LA to take on the
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Hour on radio. I streamed. Hey, if you can please, can you all do me a favor? Can you go and go to the JT and Looney podcast? We got it on video. It's here, but please go and like that and subscribe. That would be a really big deal you can do to help us. JT and Looney, wherever you get your podcast, and just hit the subscribe button and like, and I would greatly appreciate that. Have a great day, everyone.